Why is Saudi Arabia building precious metals refineries? They don't mine gold. Are they planning on getting a whole bunch of gold? Because that's kind of suspicious. We're going to jump into why that's suspicious and what might actually be going on here. And it really does impact you. So let's jump into it. All right, so Karim Al-Anezi, he's the head of the Precious Metals National Committee of Saudi Arabia. He has come out, and this is one of those countries where when government officials and such speak, they have to clear everything that they say. So this is de facto from the government. They are going to start several refineries to remanufacture gold into bars, right? So, like I said, they don't mine much gold in Saudi Arabia. The gold that they mine now currently goes to Switzerland, but it's not enough to justify building a refinery in Saudi Arabia. So where are they going to be getting this gold that they're going to be refining? Why? And why don't they just ship the little bit they have to Switzerland? Here's what we think might be going on. Either they're planning on mining a whole bunch of extra gold, or they're planning on receiving a whole bunch of gold, or third option, they're going to take the gold that they have in their deposits, they're going to melt it down and cast it into new bars. Why would they do such a thing? Saudi Arabia's gold is in London standards, okay? So the London standards for gold bars are set where they are. However, the Chinese standards are different. So this seems to point to, now we've no rumors whatsoever that Saudi Arabia has found more gold. So it's probably one of those other options there, okay? They expect to get a whole bunch more gold coming in that they want to be able to change from Chinese standard to London standard. Why would they want to do that? Just to get rid of those numbers off of those bars and everything like that? Saudis look like they're getting ready to start accepting gold as payment for oil. That's huge, folks. That is absolutely huge because it tells us two things. One, Saudi Arabia is going to break the petrodollar. The United States dollar has been backed by flimsy, out of thin air promises, but they've also been backed by this guarantee that you can always buy Saudi crude oil with dollars. Once that disappears, once you can buy Saudi crude oil with other things other than dollars, the dollar really does become just a piece of paper with empty Federal Reserve promises. Hey, if you want empty Federal Reserve promises, you can get empty bank promises from lots of different countries around the world. You can go to Zimbabwe and get empty promises from their central bank. You know, you can probably even get a whole bunch more of those Zimbabwe dollars for that because nobody trusts their central bank. For some reason, people still seem to trust the U.S. Federal Bank, Federal Reserve Bank, and that's mostly because we have this agreement that dollars can always be exchanged for oil in Saudi Arabia, and you cannot buy oil without the dollars. So if they're preparing themselves to start accepting gold has a couple of interesting things about it. One, it's not traceable. Like I said, you can melt it down. You can take the Chinese bars and melt them down, or the Pakistani bars, or wherever else you get them from. Melt them down, and you can restamp them with new numbers, and nobody's the wiser as to where you got that gold from. And you can say, oh, we got it from the Australians, when in fact you got it from the Chinese. You can say, well, we got it from, somewhere else. Non-traceable. It looks like China is ramping up to start evading sanctions. We've tipped our hand. We've shown the world what we will do to an adversary financially. If somebody's getting ready to invade their neighbor or the island right off their coast, China now knows exactly what our playbook will be. We will try to cut them out of the financial markets, and we will try to shut them out of SWIFT, and we will do all these kind of other things. So how are they going to still purchase the things that they need to purchase? They seem to be thinking gold looks like a good non-traceable way of paying. And so they're moving forward with that. So what does this mean for you? One, the US dollar could be under threat, seriously under threat. Secondly, this looks like China is getting ready to be able to avoid sanctions or to weather sanctions, which makes you ask the question, what are they planning on doing in the near future? Now, they're setting these things up. Is this going to be all set up by next week? No, it's not. Is this going to be all set up by next year? Maybe not. It may take a little bit of time for all these things to get set up, but we see them seriously taking steps to de-dollarize, which is huge, which means your dollar is going to drop like a rock when this happens, okay? Also, you want to stock up on gold. Gold and silver, folks. Personally, I'm more of a fan of silver, and that's because silver is kind of leveraged on gold. If gold goes up by 2%, silver tends to go up by like 2.5%, 3%, and so it's just a better deal. Silver's been more manipulated down. It's easier to trade in silver. If I want to sell you something and I want to receive payment, you're going to either have to give me a tiny sliver of gold, or you're going to be able to give me an actual decent sized coin of silver, which is easier to kind of calculate out. I mean, a little sliver of gold where we're measuring fractions of grams, or where we're talking about a quarter of an ounce of silver. It's just so much easier, folks. So silver and gold, stock up on that, because when the international markets, when world governments start trading in gold's going to be a lot more in demand. As we go into troubled times, banks are already stocking up on gold, which is, a good idea to do. And then when they start using that to trade between national banks, between countries, they're going to be using up a lot more gold, which means the price of gold is going to go up significantly. So people have been saying out there, buy silver and gold, because it's good in terms of crisis. It's also good to have it in your house. There's only so much food you can stockpile, but the thing is, you can stockpile more gold and silver, and that's important, right? Because you need to be able to stock your value in something. If you can't go out and buy more real estate, you might be able to go out and buy some more silver rounds, or silver eagles, or Canadian maples, or whatever you want to do. You can actually stockpile that, and a bank can't seize it if it's in your house. Or at least they shouldn't be able to seize it if it's in your house. Also, folks, if things somehow manage to hold together. Okay, I know you and most of us are on the same page where we think, how is this thing going to hold together for a little bit longer? I don't know. But what happens if everything holds together for another year or two? Are you going to be, where are you going to be financially? What happens if it's a slow burn, you lose your job, and your income goes down, and the prices of everything keep going up? How are you going to buy what you need to buy? Whereas if you have silver and gold, you can then, when the time comes, you can then sell the silver and gold and immediately purchase food items. And silver and gold will go up in value as the dollar goes down in value. Okay, so do you want to be holding cash in dollars, or whatever your currency is, or do you want to be holding gold and silver? These are going to hold up against inflation a whole lot better. So that's a good idea. And if things somehow hold together, like I said, gold and silver are not a bad investment anyway. Whereas, some of the other investments you might be making that are heavily labor intensive don't make all that much sense if the grid stays up. Like if you start getting cattle and you start getting pigs and everything like that, that's a lot of work. It is easier to go to the store and just buy some bacon than to raise a pig yourself. Now, I'm not saying that's not necessarily a good thing to do, but if you have a job and you're busy, tending to a pig might be a little more work than what you plan on doing if things stay normal. If things crash, suddenly having the pig makes tons and tons of sense because the store doesn't have any bacon. So if China and these other countries are looking to use gold to get around sanctions, that's another thing that you should pay attention to. How are you going to get around sanctions? What happens if they say, in order to get into the store, you need to say so and such and such? And if you're morally opposed to saying that, you can get censored here on YouTube's. You can get censored on other platforms. If you talk about canning on Facebook, you're going to get kicked off. If you talk about the wrong topics on certain platforms, you're going to get kicked out. What happens when they start saying, well, if you talk about the wrong things here in Walmart, we're going to kick you out? If you don't celebrate verbally Pride Month, you're not allowed in the store. If you're not wearing XYZ, if you're not wearing the right political colors, if you're not wearing, whatever month this is, celebrating whatever thing is this month, they won't let you in the store. What happens if they require medical procedures for you to enter the store? What happens? How are you going to trade? What happens if your bank's like, well, we can't service you because you haven't signed up. You're not on the list. You're not on the nice list. You're on the naughty list. Your social credit score is too low. What happens then? Well, gold and silver can allow you to evade those sanctions, can't they? You can still trade with people on the side. If you have currency, if you have, particularly silver and gold will be very effective for that, trading with people on the side. So just think through those things. Do you want some person in New York City or some other major metropolitan area deciding when or whether you can access your money or not? Or do you want to hold that in your physical possession? Silver and gold sound like a pretty darn good idea out there. I do advocate getting your silver and gold wherever you can, the cheapest. If you can't, figure out where that is. Just find out what people recommend. Some of the big ones, SD Bullion, silver.com. Those are places that I'm familiar with. There's some other ones, go to those places and just look up the same kind of product. Like I usually look at silver rounds and just compare those from one place to the next to kind of see who's giving the best prices. You're going to be paying more than the silver price. You're going to be paying more than the gold price. The premium over face value is going to be there. Just accept that. But when you go to sell it, you should also kind of expect some of that premium to be paid by whoever you're selling it to, hopefully at least. All right, so folks, think through all that, and there's another video here. You might want to check that out. Otherwise, I will see you later. Steve Poplar, out.